I used to roam those crowded streets where all the ghosts are known. But I'm a torch to every bridge, ain't scared to let them go. I got my past in the rear view mirror. All the voices couldn't be any clearer. They say don't burn bridges, don't you dare. I got dynamite, I just don't care. Blow them up, let the pieces fly. Watch the dust settle underneath the sky. Never look back, keep my head held high. No more tears, I won't cry. They say make amends, learn to forgive. I know what it takes to truly live. Cut the ties and watch me thrive. This is my life, I won't just survive. Blow them up, let the pieces fly. Watch the dust settle underneath the sky. Never look back, keep my head held high. No more tears, I won't cry. They say that time can heal the wounds, but I'm not one to wait. Patience lost in the inferno, burning past debate. Each step away, another layer peeling off my skin. Emerging from the ashes, ready to begin. Memories like shadows, they fade away. Couldn't weigh me down on my brightest day. Goodbye to the old, I'm breaking free. No regrets, this is the new me. Blow them up, let the pieces fly. Watch the dust settle underneath the sky. Never look back, keep my head held high. No more tears, I won't cry. Don't look back. The past is just a memory in gray and black. Keep walking forward, leave the wreckage far behind. I'm setting fire to every bond that tried to hold my mind. Bridges, don't look back. The past is just a memory in gray and black. Keep walking forward, leave the wreckage far behind. I'm setting fire to every bond that tried to hold my mind.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. How is everyone doing tonight? I am Teco Druff. We are Engineered to Win. This is the Tech Q&A show, where you have questions. I have answers. So happy to have everyone here tonight. And I'm going to set up our 2-hour timer. Hopefully everything goes well today. It was an absolute mess on Sunday. All these power outages that were happening back to back to back, but we are back in full capacity. Let's go. Let's get it. I'm going to make some adjustments too to prevent these power outages. I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to do that, but we will make it work. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight is Tuesday, April 1st. Yes, it is. We are in April. You guys, I told you guys last year. It might as well be last year. I told you guys last month that 2025 is basically over. You did not believe me, but we're already at April. We're in the 4th month of the year of 2025. And what have you accomplished already? What are the 5 things that you accomplished last week? What were they? Nonetheless, we are here to win. We are here to get out there and get it. All right. So let me jump into our agenda, and then we will check the chat and say hi to all of my amazing friends. So First and foremost, I just want to say a big thank you so much to all of the subscribers to the channel, those who are so brand new and those who have been rocking with me for a very long time. I appreciate each and every last one of you as we continue to grow here. You guys are absolutely amazing.
I appreciate you.
And I just want to say a big shout out to all of the Patreon members, my tech barbarians, my tech prodigy members, my technical explorers, those who are working hard every single day, working closer and closer towards their goals. I am so proud of you. You guys, the effort that you put in are the absolute best.
We the best.
And shout out to those tech mercenaries out there. Those are the YouTube channel members who keep this channel alive, that keeps these shows going. Seeing me live on here just about every single day. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
All right, really quick updates. I'm working on uploading another sprint review to the Patreon. I reposted a video, like my very first video on Patreon yesterday morning, because I had to clean some stuff up. I didn't want to lose it, so I had to repost it, so it's available there. It was a really good video, by the way, as well. It was one of my first videos that I created, so you definitely want to go and check that out. And I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to be posting another sprint review. Check it out. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be getting into our large language model. I'm actually going to start the show early tomorrow because I have a meeting at work at 8:30 in the morning. So I'm going to start the show around 7:15 in the morning to get done by like 8:05 so that because we cannot miss. And we got so close to finishing up yesterday. So I wrote down all the stuff that we have to do. So we're going to clean that up. Thursday night, we're going to be going live as well. And on Sunday night, we're going to be talking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but not on this channel, not on the Tech Coach Rob channel. We're going to be taking it over to my Jiu-Jitsu channel, the Half Guard Halfie, because that's how Brazilians say my name. It's not Ralph, it's Half. So, and I love to play the half guard. So I'm going to drop that link in the chat real quick so that if you are not subscribed to that channel, go ahead and subscribe. Me and my friends will be on live on Sunday. We're going to be reviewing, if you guys remember him, we're going to be reviewing his matches. We're going to be, and we're going to be talking about different jiu-jitsu type related stuff. I have a cool show planned out. I'm thinking about doing it every other week, me and Justin primarily, but whoever else of my friends want to jump on. And I'll even drop the link for if anybody else wants to come and talk about their competition, if they want us to review their competition, whatever the case may be, we will do it. All right. So that is, I know that's all on Sunday, but I wanted to start announcing it now so you can make your way over to the channel so that you can join us as we talk about some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. All right. So that is our upcoming shows for the week. We're going to go live on Thursday night, but I'll announce that. What day is today? I might as well announce it today. We're going to be continuing ethical hacking on Thursday night. I'm not even sure where we left off on ethical hacking, but we will find that out. All right. So that is where we're at. We have tomorrow our software explorations. I'm going to be breaking down Kubernetes YAML files because we've been working on that on Sundays. We're going to continue working on it this past Sunday, but we had some technical difficulties. But I want to break down all the details about YAML files, and you'll see all the diagrams that I have in that presentation. I used AI to generate them, and I think they came out absolutely phenomenal. All right. So that is what we have coming up for this week. And don't forget, we do have our bug bite on Friday, but I'll announce that on Thursday. Okay. So that is all of the announcements to make for the agenda before we get started. I'm going to check the chat, but then I'm going to go to just want to talk about something real quick, and then we'll get into our questions. Okay. So let me check the chat to see what we have going on in the building. And let me turn on the calling link. For in case anybody wants to call in, they have the opportunity to do so. Let me see. Where is it? What am I looking for? All right. We are over here, and we're going to go and turn on the call in link. Boom. Call-in link is open. The link is in the description. It is also pinned to the top of the chat. And I'm just going to drop it again real quick, just in case anyone does not have it. They are able to call in, right? So I'd love to speak with you. And maybe, I don't know if it's going to post on Twitch, but if not, I will drop the link for Twitch regardless. All right. But let me see. I don't think it's going to drop for Twitch. Let me drop it for Twitch as well. In case anybody wants to call in, I am willing to talk to absolutely anybody. All right, cool. So let's do this. Let me check the chat, and then I will get to what I want. It's kind of like an icebreaker, but not really an icebreaker, just a little quick talk, right? So first and foremost, we have, let's see if it's going to mess us up. It did not mess up. We have Roxy in the building, says, good evening, Techotrop, and everyone. Good evening to you as well, Roxy. Hopefully everything is going amazing for you. We have Jelly Bean in the building, says, hello, hello. Hello to you, Jelly Bean. How have you been? You have been missed here on this channel. And Roxy throws up the iguanas because I said, what 5 things have you accomplished last week? It was not directed at you. But if I'm just trying to give people that boost. Jelly Bean says, I got promoted to student ambassador on top of my vice presidency. What? Shout out to you, Jelly Bean, or should I say, Madam Ambassador / Madam Vice President. Salute to you. Amazing work. And we got my guy, Magnetar, in the building. What's up, Magnetar? Says salute to you as well, Magnetar. Shout out to you.
Let's get it.
All right, so let's do this real quick. Before we get into our questions, I want to. I'm gonna give you a gift, right? What is my gift to you? My gift to you is sharing with you about this book right here. This book, Winning, by Tim Grover. Tim Grover was the trainer for Michael Jordan, for Kobe Bryant, for Dwayne Wade for a while. And this book is one of my favorite books, The Unforgiving Race to Greatness. He also has a book prior to that called Relentless, which is also amazing. But I think that so many people are, and I'm going to come back to the book in a second, right? But so many people are accustomed to not winning. They're used to losing, right? And it's like, you don't have to be so used to losing that you just continue to have these random plans and ideas that you never ever execute on. See, a lot of people think that, winning is getting on, like, let's say it's jiu-jitsu, it's getting to the podium on first place, which that is winning, but there's a lot more that goes on to winning as well, because a lot of times it's a win for somebody. A lot of times a win for somebody could just be getting started. And then once you get started, you build upon that. But so many people, they just like to think and talk and be drowning in their own minds that they never actually get started. And I'm like, all right, just do something. Just do something, right? And that is the start of victory. That is the start to winning, right? So I just wanted to share the chapters in this book with you real quick, so you can see the mindset that it places in you, so that you can see, like, so that you can develop that work ethic to actually accomplish your goals. Because a lot of people don't accomplish their goals because they do not work for it. It's like they say they want it, but then when it comes time to actually do the work, it's like the song, why do people hate success, right? But so I'm going to go with this, right? I'm just going to read the contents of this book, right? Which is the table of contents. But every chapter is number 1, right? Because Tim Grover, he says that winning, all these 13 points of winning are equally important. They're not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all equally important. So he has 13 sections or chapters or whatever you want to call it on winning. And the first one says winning makes you different and different scares people. And I think that is an absolute fact. People are scared to be different, but if you are the same as everybody else, you will never win. Number one again, winning wages war on the battlefield in your mind. And I think that might be one of the scariest parts for people to wage war in their mind, because it's like you have different competing interests within yourself. One side is saying, get the hell up and get to work, go and exercise, go and write some code, go and do something. And on the other hand is like, oh, do you really want to do that? Is that really for you? Maybe you could try this, maybe you could try that. I'm like, that's not winning, right? Winning is the ultimate gamble on yourself. You bet it all on yourself. Winning isn't heartless, but you'll use your heart less. Love that chapter. Winning belongs to them, and it's your job to take it, because you know what? No one's just going to give you an easy victory like that. You have to go out there and get it. You have to go out there and take it, right? That's the heart of competition. Is winning wants all of you. There is no balance. And I know people love to talk about balance. There is no balance when it comes to winning. You're just sometimes you can't even go to sleep because you want to win, you know? What else do we have? Winning is selfish. Put it like that. Winning takes you to hell, and if you quit, that's where you will stay. Winning is a test with no correct answers. Winning knows all of your secrets. Winning never lies. Winning is not a marathon. It's a sprint with no finish line. You just got to keep going. And lastly, but probably most importantly, winning is everything. Go get the book. I'm not getting anything out of this, but go get the book. This book helped me tremendously. I highly, highly recommend Winning by Tim Grover. All right. Anyways, the link to call in is in the description. It's pinned to the top of the chat. I will drop it throughout the night. I'm gonna read that book again. I'm gonna read that book again because it is so vital to your success. All right. I love David Goggins. The Can't Hurt Me, Never Finish. Those are great, right? But this one is a great blueprint of why you are not successful and what do you need to do, the mindset you need to instill in yourself to be successful. All right, that's it for that. I'm not going to bring it up again today, but go get the book. It is very, very, very important. Okay, let me check to see what is going on in here. Let me see. So I'm checking the chat. We have Roxy says, congrats to Jelly Bean. Congrats to Jelly Bean. We got my guy in the building. A.R. Smitty says, good evening to Tech, Coach Ralph, Magnetar, and Roxy, and everyone else in the building. What's up, A.R. Smitty?
Let's get it.
And Magnetar says, did you ever find Star Wars on? You know what? I did not even look for it. I totally forgot because I was traveling the past week and a half, and that was not on my radar. Let me write it down. I am going to get that. How can I write this? Let me see how I'm going to write this down. Let's say, send a text to myself. That's what I normally do. I send a WhatsApp to myself so that I can actually do it, because that is a great idea. Magnetar. Thank you so much for reminding me. Star Wars sound effect for stream. Got it. All right, cool. Sent to myself. Hopefully by next show, maybe not tomorrow morning, next show, I should have it. All right. Oh my goodness. We got my guy in the building. What's going on? Rod Brown. Rod Brown says, good evening, fam. Shout out to Rod Brown and The Nourishing Word. Go subscribe to The Nourishing Word, please, please, please. It is an amazing, amazing channel. He is doing the work of the Lord. And he will not tell the moderators to close the door, not to let you leave unless you give $20 exit fee. No, he does not do that. He does not do that. Shout out to my guy Rod Brown at The Nourishing Word. AR Smitty says, preach tech coach Ralph. Shout out to AR Smitty.
Let's get it.
Let's see. What anything else? Oh, we got my guy, Me Mysify, in the building. Says good evening to me, to beautiful Miss Roxy, AR, Magnetar, Rod Brown, and the rest of the chat. Shout out to Me Mysify. Me Mysify, I haven't watched your video yet, but I saw the title in my notifications that you had some food poisoning. I hope that you are doing all right. That is scary. Hopefully you're doing good. Hopefully you're feeling much, much better. But, that worried me. I'm like, I got to reach out to Me Mysify and make sure he's all right. I just didn't have a chance. It was so busy the past couple of days. Haven't had a chance to jump into your video, into the chat yet, or into the comments yet. But shout out to you. Hopefully you're doing well. And Rod Brown says $20. Bro, I need 50 before you leave out of this door. Oh my goodness. Bruh. You better let him know, Rod Brown. You better let him know. All right. We are getting to the show now. Let's get into it. But yeah, I just felt compelled to share about one of my favorite books that I have ever read. Winning. There's a few books. I have a few favorite books. Maybe I'll put some other ones of them on display. But this one it's probably my number one. It is probably my number one. That one between Winning, David Goggins, You Can't Hurt Me, and Jocko Willink, Extreme Ownership. It's a tough call. It is a tough call. All right, but it's time to get to the show. It is time to get to the show. Let's get into our very first. We're gonna do two questions chat. But if anybody wants to call in, feel free. If you have a question in the chat, I will also prioritize that. All of that good stuff. And Me Myself says, I'm better now. Thought I was going to die. That was crazy. Me Myself. But I'm so happy you're doing much better. All right. Okay. Like I said, two questions chat. If anybody wants to call in, that gets priority. If anyone has a question in the chat, that gets priority as well. All right. So let's jump right into it.
Another one.
It is time for a new job. So this question says, it's official. Time to look for another job. I am done playing around this time. I nearly met God today. I sat in a room with my boss and the new HR manager thinking I was about to be fired. Apparently, I'm moving to hourly instead of salary. My pay is the same, but partly due to, I'll add in for you to be respectful, President Trump increasing the minimum salary wage to $70,000. This is what my friend / coworker told me, who is into politics, and I work in the defense industry. Wait, what? What? Says, so my pay is the same, but partly due to Trump increasing the minimum salary wage so he gave people a pay raise, but then whoever you work for, or you're saying whoever you work for says, well, because we don't want to pay you more than your 60, we're going to move you to hourly so you're not. Okay. Let me just, maybe Magnetar can help me out with this question as well. But all right, so so I currently make $60K. This was the final straw for me in a long list of things. Aside from the new HR manager nearly giving me a heart attack, I have gotten what I needed from this company in terms of skill in manual and automation testing, and I'm ready to move on from these office politics. They have just gotten worse since the new CEO took over in mid-2020. All right, so apparently this is not a government job. This because government jobs don't have quote unquote CEOs. So maybe you're working as a contractor. You're working for a company on salary who is a defense contractor for the U.S. government. I don't know how President Trump could have any impact on a private company's salary for someone I don't know. Okay, whatever. It says, the good news is I still keep my benefits and I can only work a max of 40 hours unless I get approval for overtime. But still, dumb, and I want out of my company. I have 3 interviews tomorrow while I am using my one work from home for the week, and one of them is for a junior dev job that a recruiter reached out for. So hopefully one of these will pan out. All right, let's start our timer on that one. So this was a very, I had to use my context clues and my spidey senses to try to piece this question together. So here's my thought on the whole question, right? I'm happy that, I think I'm happy that you didn't meet God. And I'm happy you didn't have a heart attack, but I'm going to say this, right? And I know some people will disagree with me when I say this, but you should never stay at a company that gets you to the point of you thinking that if you get fired, you are going to have a heart attack and die. Nope. I am a big believer in a mutual relationship, in reciprocal tariffs. So if you are unhappy at your company, chances are, if you're unhappy at your company might be unhappy with you, but not all the time. But I would say that you do not get to the point where you're thinking that you're going to be fired because of God knows what reason. It's only to find out that you're being moved from hourly to you're moving to hourly instead of salary, which guess what? There might be no tax on overtime. It's a possibility. But honestly, you should not stay somewhere that you feel so much emotional anxiety from, where you are like, oh my God, so many office politics, which most offices do have politics. But for me, when it comes to office politics, I just avoid the whole thing. I avoid politics altogether because people just have random thoughts, and if you see what's been happening out in the streets, people protesting and trying to burn down car dealerships and burn down cars and all this crazy stuff, I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? So for me, I avoid office politics. I avoid all types of politics. Sometimes we cover it when we're looking at the economic numbers, but I'm not going to be having some economic debate with people. I don't even like to debate with people because do you know how much effort and how draining it is how draining it is to show people that you are right and they are wrong. Like, it's easy for me to show that I'm right, but to show that people that they're wrong, it is so draining. It is so draining. So I'm like, you know what? If it is definitely time for a new job. It was time for a new job maybe 6 years ago. But you stuck in, you got your skills. So start looking. And I am so happy for you. I am ecstatic for you that you have 3 interviews lined up. That means that you are putting your skills to use. That means your resume is looking pretty good. And I don't want you to think that your $60K that you're making is your ceiling. It is not your ceiling. You need to work towards improving your skills, especially if you're doing automation. I don't know what part of the country that you're in, but especially if you're doing automation, you want to continue to grow. If you're going to become a junior developer, which is also great, it's just don't allow any manager to almost give you a heart attack. It's not that serious. Your job is not that. They should not have that much power over you, right? You should not be beholden to them. Like I said earlier, it should be a mutual relationship. You scratch their back, they scratch your back. You do your job, and they pay you for your job. So whatever company that you go to, there's going to be politics, but You have to look forward to continuing to level up. You have to be focused on growth. Like the book Winning says, it's going to be challenging, whatever it is that you do. Like, because if you're in QA now, right, and you're switching to be a developer, there's a whole mindset shift that's associated with it. Like, when I have my developer hat on, it is so hard for me to think as a QA engineer. When I have my QA engineer on, it is so hat on. It's so hard for me to think as a developer. So it's a balancing act. You're gonna have to adjust, but it seems like you have things lined up. However, my biggest caution for you is do not allow the next company that you go to put you in the same position that you feel like you're in now, where you might have a heart attack. You might meet God based on your conversations with HR and with your manager. I've never felt any anxiety, any fear, any pain when having a conversation with management. I'm just me, right? And I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I am just my biggest fan. Let's put it like that. At the end of the day, I am my biggest fan. All right, let's wrap that question up. All right, we're gonna jump right into the next question, and then we will check the chat. Let's get to it.
Another one.
So the next question says, I don't understand how to use CI/CD in testing. Well, you've come to the right place. It says, I started getting interested in automated testing and I came across the concept of CI/CD, but I must admit I'm a bit lost. I understand its purpose. It allows tests to run automatically with every code change, but which code are we talking about? The developer's code or the code we testers write in automated tests? Which tests should be included in CI/CD, API/UI tests? Which specific tests should be included? Honestly, since I have no professional experience yet, I am completely lost and don't quite understand. For now, I have an automated end-to-end Playwright project on GitHub with a .yaml file at the root of my GitHub project. The file triggers an automated test using npx Playwright test every time I push to my GitHub repository. However, the test always fails even though it works fine locally in VS Code. Can someone help me understand better? Of course. Well, I would be more than delighted to help you understand better about the CI/CD pipeline. So let's start our timer. All right. So CI/CD pipeline. I'm going to go through your questions point by point, right? So the first question, which test? The first question. I understand its purpose is to allow tests to run automatically with every code change, but which code are we talking about? The developer's code or the code we testers write to create automated tests? I would say it is primarily, number one, by a long shot, it is a developer's code. What you want to have, the purpose of the CI/CD pipeline, there's many purposes, right? It's called, CI/CD, for those who don't know, CI, continuous integration, CD, continuous deployment, continuous development. Let me. I use the term so much. Sometimes I forget what the D stands for in CD. It could be either continuous deployment or continuous delivery. Let me see. CI/CD. The CI/CD continuous delivery. So continuous integration and continuous delivery. That the D is for delivery. I sometimes split up the delivery and the deployment. But okay. So with that being said, there's a lot of things you can build into your pipeline, right? You can go from, you push up code where it's going to run all of your unit tests, that the developer should be handling that. It can run all of your automated tests. It can, and you can set it to, if all of those tests pass, then automatically go and merge into your master branch or your prod branch, whatever the name of your branch, your main branch, whatever the name is, right? But the primary purpose is that when it comes to automation testing inside of the CI/CD pipeline, is that once the developers push up a code change, then it should automatically trigger the test to run. All right, and that way you get quick, early feedback. It's not like you have to send the test to a QA engineer and then now they have to the developers have to wait. They have immediate. So getting feedback is the most important thing. Getting it fast and early. So as soon as you push up a change, then their unit test should automatically run. Then, and even not even that, in parallel, it can also kick off your automated tests, so that the QA team has written to give feedback on the functionality, the integration testing of the application. Which leads us to your next question: which test should be included in the CI/CD API or UI? So I'm going to go with both, with a caveat of you want to have more API tests. The API tests the business logic of your application. Now, you do want some UI tests, some basic UI tests that's testing like some core functionalities. The reason that we're not too in favor of UI tests being in the CI/CD pipeline, because UI tests can be very, very flaky, right? And flaky people break my soul. All right, so that's why you want to have a certain amount of UI tests, but the majority you want to have a good amount of API tests testing the business logic. So if you think about the testing pyramid, you have you have a bunch of unit tests that's testing all the ins and outs of the code. Then you have your integration tests, which would be your API tests, which are also a lot, but probably not as much as your unit tests. And then you have a little bit of UI tests, right? And if it's necessary, then you have a little bit of manual testing, exploratory testing there. So I think that answers which specific tests should be included as well. Especially for the UI automated testing should be the core functionality, but you don't want to go all in, all out, all that cool stuff. All right. Let's see. What else did you have? I think those were the two main questions that you had, but the reason that your GitHub YAML file might not be working. So if you're setting it up as a GitHub action, the file triggers in an automated test using npx playwright every time I push to my GitHub repository, which you're actually exercising the GitHub or CI/CD, but it sounds like it's a GitHub action. However, the test fails even though it works fine locally on VS Code. There could be a lot of reasons for that. It could be parameters that are not being passed. It could be the path to your test that's not being set. It could be a variety of things. So I can't really give direct answer on why it's not passing, but I would say look into GitHub Actions and whatever parameters you're setting to see. And my biggest advice when it comes to troubleshooting why anything is not working, especially like your automated test, but whatever code is not working, you have to troubleshoot. So what I normally do is I copy the error that I'm getting, like, playwright test can't find whatever. I copy that error and I paste it into Google, and I see, and usually it's a Stack Overflow that tells me, okay, this is what's not right, and I try a few things and I troubleshoot until I get it working right. So that is probably where I would start off. I don't know in your case in particular what the error is, but I would say whatever error you get, search that. Maybe throw that into ChatGPT. I'm not really a fan of searching for errors in ChatGPT, but some people are. Whatever floats your boat. But I would say that definitely search it and see, and now make adjustments based on the results that you get for those results. All right. So let's wrap that question up. And let's go over to the chat and see what we got going on in the chat. So let's see. Magnesor says, is this a contractor? So that's in regards to the first question. I'm guessing so, Magnesor. I am guessing so. The way that they broke it down, it sounds like it sounds like the company they work for is a contracting company with the federal government, but they worked full-time salary employee for the company that has, because I have a really close friend of mine where they work for a company. They like, it's regular full-time company, but they work in like aviation software, and the federal government is one of their customers. So they're not contractors at that company, but they get a lot of their contracts from the federal government. All right. Let's see. Rock says, I'm confused about, I'm confused also. I think I parsed it, but we will never know. We will never know. Magnet says, probably had something to do with the taxes. I noticed a $10 increase right after January 1st. This was not the regular congressional improved increase. So you got an extra $10 on your paycheck? Well, that was it an extra $10 taken out or an extra $10 put in? Because that's going to determine what sound effect I play in that case. So I'm gonna reserve playing a sound effect because it could either be positive or negative. All right. Let's see. Max says, I can't stand the I heard this or the they said people, always starting rumors. That's a fact.
Bruh. Congratulations. You played yourself.
I agree 100% with you, Magnetar. We got Del Finchick in the building. What's up? Hopefully I'm saying it right. And Del Finchick says deployment versus delivery, they are two slightly different things. That's totally correct. Deployment versus delivery, because, and we can break that down a little bit, right? Deployment is just putting the software on a server, on an environment, even in production, but you haven't delivered it yet until you have said, here you go, right? So, but yeah, so I totally do agree with that. Deployment versus delivery are two slightly different things. Let me see. We have Wave Nerd in the building. What's up, Wave Nerd? All right, why is this thing so small? All right, it says, I've built 2 projects on Lovable, launched one, and need to get the other transferred to my Microsoft account. I am a Microsoft startup founder. I'm a non-coder, but been in tech, cognitive intelligence. Well, shout out to you. Also says, I also emailed you about the AI cybersecurity swarm agents. Great content. Thank you so much. I did receive your email and I saw your comment. I have not had a chance to reply to you yet, but I plan to do that within the next couple of days. I'm just getting back in town and getting settled in, but I did see your email and I really thank you. And I'm going to be getting back to you as well. All right. Shout out to Wave Nerd. All right. Those are all the comments for now. Let's get to our next topic, our next question for tonight. All right. So
Another one.
Laid off about 3 months ago, thinking about switching careers. All right, so let's see what this person says. It says, got laid off 3 months ago and unable to find a job, thinking of switching careers. So I got laid off in January of 2025. I have been searching for a job but unable to find it. So I'm confused. Should I switch my careers to software engineering? I have 5 months left of employment insurance. Below is the details. So the country that they're in is in Canada. The education is a bachelor's of computer application from India, mobile application program. So 4 years of a bachelor's of computer application from India, mobile application programming, 2 years in Canada, experience, 2.5 years of experience working as a QA automation engineer in TD. Not sure what TD is for. Says by EL, I mean employment insurance, right? Covered by the government if you lose your job. Now, should I spend 5 months as a software engineer or developer, or should I keep learning more about QA? Well, my recommendation would be to start the clock, right? And I would say it depends. At the end of the day, it depends on, I guess, Delphinchick, that they're talking about TD Bank. Is TD Bank in Canada? I don't know. I don't know. people say they could have added bank at the end if it was TD Bank. But anyways, I digress. So I would say that if you're choosing between becoming should I spend 5 months as a software engineer or a developer, or should I keep learning towards career? If you have the opportunity to be a software engineer, okay, so no, all right. Okay, so what you're saying is you have 5 months left of employment insurance, and you want to know what to do with your 5 months, right? Should you spend the time working towards learning software engineering or becoming a software engineer, or should you spend that 5 months working towards being a QA? So I don't know how much employment insurance is, but I would say it sounds like you have a lot of time on your hands. So if that is the case, if you have all that time, why not do both? It's not the most, like, a lot of the things, like a lot of the concepts kind of carry over. And look, there are 24 hours in a day, right? There are 24 hours in a day. If you really, really want to get a job as a QA engineer or as a software engineer, then you need to dedicate. I said I wouldn't bring the book back up, right? But I have to. This book says, so one of the chapters says that. One of the chapters says that. Where is it? Winning wants all of you. There is no balance. So if you want to be successful in landing that job, then whether it's a software engineer or a QA engineer, you need to dedicate every moment available to leveling up, because guess what? There are people who are going for that same job that you are. And I say, and here's how I see it, right? As a QA engineer, me learning about Kubernetes, about DevOps, about all of that stuff makes me a better QA engineer. Me learning about ethical hacking, about large language models makes me a better QA engineer. And me knowing all the ins and outs of QA makes me better at doing all those other things. Like, so they go hand in hand. And there was, back in the days, there was this concept of, well, I'm just a QA person. I don't need to know about the code. I don't need to know about this. But nowadays, the more you can understand, the more you can speak dev talk, the better that you're going to perform, and the more they're going to appreciate you on their team, because you're not just there being oh no, this doesn't work and this doesn't work and no. No, you get to participate. You are part of the team. So my thing is, in those 5 months, you should become an expert QA engineer and maybe not an expert software engineer, but you should at least have one software. Like, you should have some application that you put out there, no matter how small it is, put something of value out into the world. And you see, and here's another problem, right? You're thinking about, you have 5 months. No, you don't have 5 months. You have 2 months. Because if you have the mindset of that, you have 5 months, then 5 months are going to come and they're going to go, just like the month of March did. 5 months are going to come and go, and you will find yourself unemployed on month 6, not knowing what you're going to do, where you're going to get your next meal from. So you have 2 months. You have 2 months to get your life together and figure out the necessary sleep that you need. But guess what? When you're unemployed and you don't have any money, any funds coming in other than your employment insurance, then there is no time for fun. There is no time for games. There's no time for Netflix and chilling. There's no time for none of that. You need to be locked in. You need to be 100% focused. Winning isn't heartless, but you'll use your heart less. And you need to focus. What have you done? A lot of time, I have this conversation every single week with the people that I'm working with, right? It's like, okay, what did you do this week? Every 2 weeks, we're delivering new things. I'm having my tech barbarians, my tech project members, they're always creating new presentations on things that they're learning, writing stories, building out, like being the product owner on a software that we're developing, because keeping the mind stimulated, always moving forward, always learning, always winning.
They ain't believe in us.
All right, with that being said, let's wrap that question up. And we will jump into our next question of the night.
Another one.
One job offer after 1,956 applications and countless rejections. Wow. It says, after 1,956 applications and countless rejections, I finally got one offer after learning this lesson. Oh, tell me more. It says, I started applying for jobs in March of 2024, one full year, and finally landed a job today. It was common for me to prepare for interviews on the school shuttle bus or skip dinner to finish an assessment. Good job. I like it. I like it. You got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. My long job search journey can be broken down into three phases. No direction, March 2024 to August of 2024. 1,300 applications, 5 interview invitations from fake or small size companies. I even attended an information session where all the applicants were old grandma and grandpas. So that means a big bulk of these applications came in the first 6-ish months. So now, the adjustment phase, September 2024 to October 2024. I stopped applying and reflected on my mistakes. Finally, we have to assess and reflect on our mistakes every single day. Realized I had wasted time on ineffective efforts, no polished resume, no refined interview skills, created 6 versions of my resume tailored to different job roles. Nice, I like it. So that means they took a 2-month break to get their life together, okay? Phase 3, apply, practice, refine. November 2024 to March 2025, 500 applications, 23 interviews, polished my interview answers daily using Chat GPT until it achieved full memory, visited mock interview websites more frequently than TikTok. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Revised my resume sentence by sentence, even dreamed about practicing behavioral questions in my sleep. I told you guys I used to dream about my college algebra questions, all right? It says, finally, I made it. You arrived. Here are the tools I used after adjusting my strategy. Hope this helps someone struggling. Job application websites. I'm not Indeed, Handshake. I never heard of that one. LinkedIn, interview preparation websites, Glassdoor, AMA interview. Let's see. Resume revision websites, Chat GPT, DeepSeek. What? I lost count of how many rejection letters I received, but they never stopped me from applying for the next job. That's what I'm talking about. The most valuable lesson I learned from my hundreds of sleepless nights is this: a smarter strategy is more important than the number of applications. Landing a job is becoming increasingly difficult. If you're struggling, know that it's not your fault in this market. 1,956 applications, 1,900 rejections, 28 interviews, 1 offer. If I can do it, so can you. All right, I agree. I agree with everything all the way up to the end. I'm gonna put a 5-minute timer. I don't think I'll need 5 minutes because this is mostly informational. But I'll say this, right? First and foremost, I want to say a big congratulations to you for finally landing that one, because you only need one. You only need one person to reach out to you and say, you know what, you crushed it, you killed it, we want you on our team. And the strategy that you employ is basically the strategy that I employ with the people that I'm coaching, where we do like continuous interviews, like maybe once a month, where we're doing mock interviews, always revising the resume. Like that might be like every 2 months, but we're always working on projects, working on building experience, working on having talking points in these interviews. A lot of times, people they'll graduate a boot camp, and then they think that they're sorry to say, but their useless, lame internship that they did at that boot camp with a fake website is going to be meaningful to a real company. Sorry to say, but we don't care. I don't care, right? When you go to like some fake e-commerce site and you're writing and you're doing some test cases that don't mean much, nobody cares. If you're building a to-do list for the 100th time that no one is going to use, we don't care. What we want to see is value. I don't know how much clearer to make this, but we want to see value. Show us some value. Show us the value. You know how in Jerry Maguire, show me the money, show me the value. All right. So pretty much everything that I said here, like, those are very, very good strategies. I employ most of these strategies with the people that I'm coaching. I employ those strategies with myself. I try to update my resume 2 times a year, like in June, July, and in December, to keep up with all the accomplishments that I had. I need to do another update, right? But so many things. And here's the thing, right? It is. And when I get questions from AI, and I'm doing the mock interviews, I don't read the questions like exactly word for word. I'm sometimes I combine questions. Sometimes I move them around, because a lot of times people they'll memorize questions for interviews, but you never, like, it's like going for a certification. You do some flashcards and stuff like that. You try to memorize what the answer is, but then as soon as they make a slight change in the question, then you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. It's totally different. It's so hard. No, that's why for me, I'm like, you have to know the material, and that's why I coach the way that I do. I coach by doing, not by passing some type of certification. Oh, I gotta get my cert. I gotta get my cert. Guess what? If you don't know how to do the work, then your cert is meaningless. All right, they go together. Get your cert, but also know how to do the work. So, with that being said, what I try to do is put the people that I'm working with in the position to know how to answer the questions. One of the people that I'm coaching, they said, we had a coaching call on Sunday. They said, you know what? Could we do this? And I'm always open. He says, could we do this? At the end of whenever we have our coaching calls, can you just ask me one interview question? I said, okay, sure. And I asked the interview question. They're like, oh, I'm not sure what the answer is. I'm like, okay, that was a great idea, because now we are going to be continuously different interview questions, different ways to keep your mind stimulated, because you never know what question you're going to get, and knowing how to maneuver and how to adjust. Right now, what is the one part that I disagree with what I agree with it just about everything they said except for one thing. If you know me, then you know. The part where they said, the part at the end where they threw in, if you're struggling, know that it is not your fault in this job market. Look, let's be frank here. It's a lot. You bear responsibility as well. Is it full responsibility? I'm going to go with yes. I'll go with yes. I'll be the bad guy. I'll go with yes, right? Because there are thousands of people who want the same job that you want. And I think from what I've seen, and the reason I can say this is because what I've seen is 99% of the resumes that I see are total trash. They're terrible. They are terrible. So I'm always like, all right, so you have to get your resume right. You have to, because a lot of resumes, they're checklist, they're to-do list. They're like, I did this, and that. Okay, what good did that do for the company that you work for? So it's about adding. So your resume is your it's your business card, saying this is the value that I brought to all these places, and this is why they thought that I was absolutely phenomenal, and this is the value that I'm looking to bring to you. And then the other part is, if you get the interview, your interview skills are probably terrible, because a lot of times we don't practice how to interview. It's all an art. You have to sell everybody's a salesman. Everybody's a salesperson. You have to sell yourself to the recruiter. You have to sell yourself to the hiring manager. You have to sell yourself, if there's a technical interview, you have to sell yourself to the technical interview. You have to make your code phenomenal. You have to sell yourself to the team that you're going to be working with, all of that good stuff to show that you have what it takes to be on the team. Because it is not only about can you do the job technically, but are you going to be a good fit? People overlook how important the good fit aspect of it is, because nobody wants to work with a jerk. All right. So when you say here's the problem. When you say you had 1,956 applications, 1,900 rejections, but 13 of those applications were wasteful applications. So I count it as the 500 to 600 applications that you put in and the interviews that you got from that. I count those. I don't count the 1,300 that were just throwaway applications because you had a terrible resume and terrible interview skills. All right. So that is my thought on that. I just had to clear that up. All right. Let's wrap that question up. And let's check the chat to see what we got going on in here. Wavener says respect and thank you. Respect to you as well. I will be talking to you soon. I have to look more into what the email said, but I will be reaching back out to you very, very soon. And Finchick said TD is bank. Maybe. Who knows? And Delphinchick says, you know what? I have that book somewhere here. Oh my God. Says, I was recommended to read The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand, and I started listening to it as an audiobook. It was funny that you cited the book recently in your videos. It's a cool book so far. I don't know. I had that book somewhere. I had it somewhere around here, but I love that book. I will always remember. I have that line engraved on the back of a watch of mine. It says, "But I don't think about you." Right? Which people need to focus on themselves. Like, people need to focus on. Anyways, I hope you enjoy it. It is an amazing book. They also have a movie, a black and white movie on it from like back in the 50s, was pretty good too. Not as good as the book, but you know how it is. All right. Let's see what else. We got Farron Perry in the building. What's up, Farron? Got an information security analyst job interview in 2 weeks. How should I prepare? Well, let's put it like this, right? I would say pretty much similar to what this person was outlining in our previous question. What I normally do is I take the job description, which we're like my team is actually building an application around this process that we use so that we can streamline our processes. But I take the job description and I put it into either Chat GPT or Gemini or whoever you use. And I say, can you give me potential interview questions based on this job description? And then it says, all right, it takes the whole job description and says, all right, based on the job description, you might get questions about these, and it breaks it down into technical questions, behavioral questions, how you work with a team type questions, things like that. So that would be my first thing. But the most important thing is practice. Do not be like Allen Iverson. Practice we talking about practice. Yes. We are talking about practice. You need to practice. Because for me, when people start stumbling and mumbling in an interview, I'm like, I don't know. You need to be sharp. You need to, and last thing I'll tell you, Farron, when in these interviews, you need to have points that you drill back to, right? So if you're talking about, they ask you a question, you need to find a way back to a way that you add value. So answer confidently, but always go back to the value that you are adding to that company. All right. So that is my suggestion for you. And we wish you the best on that interview. Shout out to you. Check back in and let us know how that interview went. And 2 weeks for an interview is a far way out. Usually they're like, oh, can we interview you like on Friday or something like that too? Man, they're making you wait for that interview. All right, let's see. Magnetar says, wow, good idea. Have AI question to practice for interviews. Yes. That's what I do with my coaching group. I'm like, all right, what's a job description? And I say, can you give me some questions that interviewer would ask based on this job description? It does a really good job. It does a really good job. Let's see. All right, that is it. That's where we're at. Let's jump back into our questions for tonight. Let's see. All right, let's go to our next question.
Another one.
Why is this like this? Give me a second. Oh my God. There goes my OCD messing with me. All right, there we go. It says, my developers don't like backlog refinement. That's unfortunate because I love backlog refinement. What is backlog refinement anyways? So what backlog refinement is in Scrum, software development, in Agile Scrum methodology, even in Kanban, you have a backlog of all the things that need to be worked on. The refinement is when you're going through the backlog and you are saying, okay, do we still need the story? What is the acceptance criteria? Does it all make sense? How much effort, how many points are we going to allocate to this story so that we can see what sprint we're going to bring it into, all right? So that's basically what backlog refinement is. Let's see what this question is actually about. It says, basically they find it useless because stories are so complex to understand that they think they will start refining during the sprint. Bruh. What's going on here? So I usually see sprints where there is no development, just understanding and questions. What the literal what? It is not that the stories are too big, it's the domain that is very complex. Once the story is understood, can also be a few hours of development. Of course, this makes it difficult to have reviews, speak to stakeholders, show demos, etc. Any suggestions or similar experience? All right. I will throw in let's start a timer. As a disclaimer, I am not a Scrum Master. Okay, I'm not a Scrum Master. But I will say this. There is a story type for what's happening here, and it's called a what is it called? Why am I blanking right here? It is oh my God, why am I blanking? We use this a spike. It's a spike. There is when you need to do research, there's a spike, and here's the deal, right? If a story, I don't care how complex the domain is, right? There needs to be understanding of what's being worked on before going on into sprint. How are you ever able to point, to have velocity, to know how much to take into a sprint? See, this is the problem when people say, oh, Agile doesn't work, Scrum doesn't work, yada yada yada. Well, when you say when you have stories that don't make any sense because they're quote unquote very complex, well, how can we make them a little less complex? maybe we should do some type of, maybe you should have a spike. Maybe in the sprint before you have a spike so that you can actually figure out how does this stuff work. So in the next sprint, you can actually be able to have workable stories. So while in one sprint, you're working on like 3 stories that are workable, you have this one spike to do some investigation. You have this one spike to do some investigation on what needs to be done in order to be able to push through for the next story. Because guess what? You can have a story that you can have a spike, and then from that spike, 3 additional stories get written, and you know exactly what to do. How do you have clear acceptance criteria if you do not know how the application or how the story is even supposed to work? So I think that's the problem that I see here. And I think that the developers are using that as an excuse to not go through the proper processes to be accountable. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, as amazing I think Scrum is, and having the 2-week sprints or however long you have your sprints, I think that one of the troubling parts of it is the accountability that it brings with it. A lot of people, it's like, oh, we're tracking our velocity, and people have this idea. So I think it's important. I think it's important that you recognize if a story cannot be refined or pointed, then it needs to be a spike so that there can be additional details, because without it, it is just chaos. We are living in utter chaos. Cats and dogs dancing in the street. We cannot do that. All right. So I think that part of your refinement is when you're going through the stories, if a story cannot be quote unquote refined during the refinement meeting, then you say, okay, cool. We're going to create a spike for it, and we'll bring in. So now you can point the spike saying that, okay, it should be about a 3 level of effort to investigate all the intricacies of this story, of the story. And based on that, now we can update the actual story with proper acceptance criteria, proper definition of done, whatever else needs to be in that story. And then we can actually allocate pointing to it so that we can be efficient. And guess what? If it's a bunch of stories that are like that, then you have a sprint where it is a bunch of spikes where you are deciding, okay, what needs to be done for all these different stories, and if we need to create additional stories, all that good stuff, so that now it's kind of like a refinement sprint where you would get all your pointing done, all the acceptance criteria, all the definition of dones, so that you don't end up in a situation where you just kind of cowboying it, you're wild westing it. You don't know what's supposed to be. You don't know how many stories to bring in. You're just kind of like floating through Scrum life and stuff like that. That is not good. That is a recipe for disaster. So my recommendation is that you use spikes for what they're for, and you do the refining after you have more information, so that everybody can be on the same page, because it is going to be absolute hell if you do not. All right. So let's wrap that question up. And we're going to jump right into the next one.
Another one.
Dealing with job stress. So, how do you deal with job stress when things aren't going your way? That's a good one. That is a great question. So, it says, I need some advice. I'm a manual tester with 3 years of experience. My current company is doing layoffs. Oh, that sucks. They've put me on the bench. I'm pretty sure they'll ask me to leave soon. I've been applying for jobs, but I'm getting very few calls. I attended 1 to 2 interviews, but no response came. And now I'm feeling really stressed and tense. I also took an automation testing class, but couldn't learn it well because there was too much work at my current job. Well, now you don't have any work, so you have plenty of time. My background is in mechanical engineering, so I find it a bit hard to pick up programming languages. I got just about 1 month left before my company probably asks me to resign. Would like you to put in your letter of resignation. Can someone suggest how I should approach my job search? What can I do to improve my chances? Please help. All right, timer up. So I would say this. It sounds like you have plenty of time on your hands now that you have been placed on the bench. It happens. So what I would do is the same thing I said, I would say, number one, read the book Winning. You need to dedicate your time instead of being, so here's the answer. So, all right, for one, I never really have job stress, right? I'm sorry, maybe I'm different, maybe I'm a unicorn, but I never really have job stress. Because I just figure things out and I've worked 24 hours before because I was helping the company fight, not this company, but a company I was working at, helping them stay in compliance with a lawsuit. And we did some crazy stuff. I worked at another company where I worked overnight for like a few days to support our release to our clients in Asia. So, and I just make fun out of it. I gamify everything. To make it a competition, make it exciting, make it challenging, giving me the opportunity to pick up small wins here and there. But with stress in general, whenever I get stressed, I just work. It's funny. Whenever I get stressed, I just work. I dig deeper into my work. I build strategies. I build systems in order to help me streamline whatever it is that is stressing me out, or I just get rid of that stress, right? But in your case, now that you've been benched and you have a feeling that you're going to be asked to resign, you're going to get laid off. Cool. You need to work on your own skills like there's no tomorrow. And here's a problem that I have with these responses, right? Or with these questions. When you say right here, I also took an automation testing class, but I couldn't learn it well because there was too much work at my current job. Here's a question. Let's say, how many hours do you work or were you working before you got benched? How many hours were you working? See, there's some people, they're like, say, oh, I'm working this job here, I'm working that job here, I'm working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, whatever, right? And guess what? I don't care. If you have to go to one job and then let's say you drive Uber after that and then you get home and it's late and you're tired, guess what? I don't care. Because if you have a goal of leveling up, the rest of the world doesn't care. And when I'm coaching people and they start making excuses, I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to hear your excuses. You say you want to be somewhere, then what have you done? You have to put in the work because guess what? That other person, maybe they're ahead of you, maybe they're not. I don't know. I don't care. But you need to outwork your competition. Simple as that. And you might have to sacrifice on sleep. You might have to sacrifice on food. Who knows? You're going to have to sacrifice. If you want to get to where you want to be, you have to sacrifice. Simple as that. Whatever goal, whenever there is a goal that you have set, and this is why most people don't like to set goals. They only dream. Many people are just dreamers. They are not goal setters because goals require you to sacrifice. What do dreams require you to do? Dreams require, I just came up with this right now. What do dreams require you to do? Dreams require you to go and sleep for 8 hours under the nice, comfortable covers and comforter and blankets and stuff like that. And you're just under your cover, rolling and tossing and turning and having a grand old time, dreaming about how amazing it would be for me to be in tech or for me to be a graphic designer, a UI, UX designer, whatever the case may be, while having a goal to do any of those things requires you to sacrifice. You're going to be up late. You're going to be going to bed late. You're going to be waking up early if you go to bed at all. You might have to eat and work at the same time. Who knows? I don't know what your schedule is, but guess what? There are 24 hours in a day. If you're not working 24 hours on one job or two jobs, whatever, if it is not 24 hours on 24 hours, then you still have time. And guess what? Even if you are working, right? You can pop on some headphones and listen to stuff. If you have to take the train to work or you're driving to work, however you get to work. If you're riding a skateboard, there's things you can listen to. There's audiobooks, there's podcasts, there's so many different options. But you need to get off YouTube, you need to get off Reddit, you need to get off TikTok like the other person said, you need to get off of Instagram. You need to get to work. You need to sacrifice. When I'm training for competition, do you know how much sacrifice you have to make? Like if anybody in here is a wrestler, do you know how much sacrifice that wrestlers have to make? They starve themselves to make weight. They have to, they're starving and they're training intensely. Same thing, very similar to jiu-jitsu. If you have to make a particular weight class, training every day, sometimes doubling it up, any goal that you have set. And even when you have those goals, sometimes you fall a little short of those goals, but I'd rather fall short of my goal than not getting started at all on my goal, than just laying in bed, dreaming about a goal that I haven't even set. Because until you actually put the feet on the ground and you do your first step for whatever that goal is, you have not started on your goal yet. You can't convince me otherwise. All right? That is my thought. So I think you have plenty of time, but you should have been doing it. You should have been doing it before. You should have, if you knew that you wanted to do automation testing, you should have been there before a very, very long time ago. Not now that you're on the chopping block. Now you're like, oh, well, now I have to go and do automation. I got a little bit more time. You should have not allowed yourself to have that time. You should have seen what ways you can add more and more value into your company. All right. So let's wrap that question up. And I think we got a comment in the chat. Let me see what the comment is. It's from Delfinchik. It says, learn the term spike. Cool, thanks. No idea how I managed to avoid it so far. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, it's basically just a story to do research on like you need more information on how to approach a story. So you're going to do a spike where you're going to be, gathering information. And then from that spike, you're probably going to have other stories that come out of it. So like it could be a spike for, we need to set up some infrastructure. Well, we need to go and look into what kind of infrastructure that we need. So now you go and you say, all right, are we going to be using AWS? So some questions you have in the spec. Are we going to be using AWS? Are we going to be using Google Cloud Platform? We're going to be using Microsoft Azure. So you're going to be looking for that. Okay, are we going to be using Kubernetes? Are we going to be using the Docker? Are we going to be using Docker? Are we going to are we going to be using load balancers? So many different questions that might need to be answered for a story like that. And then once you have an idea, then you're going to start creating your stories for, all right, we're going to be setting up Kubernetes on AWS. We're going to be needing load balancers. We're going to be needing A, B, C, D. So, and now those are actionable stories that can actually have a point value to them based on the work that you did in the spike, right? So awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm so happy that we were able to add value. All right, it looks like we might be out of here early tonight. I am so excited. All right, let's get to our next question of the night.
Another one.
Going from development to management. What? Who is thinking about joining the dark side? All right, it says, why do some people choose to drop out of being a software developer into management? It's something I'm wondering because I know some of my connections now who used to be big into doing software are now in jobs that they barely do any code. They miss being able to do it when I ask them, so it just seems kind of strange. Is there some point where a software developer has to own so much that they have to start becoming an architect or director over being in the trenches? Is it a company thing where they drop too much staff and then someone has to take over some critical role? Okay, so that's a great question. Let's start a timer on that one. So to answer this question, why do some people drop out of being a software developer into management? So there's a couple of reasons. The software development industry has always been pretty bad at this until maybe recently, or maybe it's just the company that I work for is decent at this. But they would take, because someone was very, very good at coding, or because they had a lot of years of experience, they thought that the only promotion to give this person was, oh, they can be a manager, right? And then it exposed the terrible, terrible management skills of that person, because a lot of times, if you're you went into software development not to have to deal with people, not to have to manage people. You just wanted to write code, do your own stuff. But then, because of structure, we need people to do performance reviews. You need people to help guide and shape and make priority decisions and stuff like that. So a lot of people who are managers kind of fell into being a manager, and not necessarily they wanted it to be that was their goal. Now other people, they are managers because that is the trajectory that they want it to be. And while they might have been excellent coders, they find more value and probably more money in the side of managing people instead of being an individual contributor. Also, a lot of times as a manager, you might be able to put more of a fingerprint or shape on the direction of building an application. But so those are some of the things that happen where people, it's not that they necessarily drop out of being a software developer. It kind of falls on them. Some people, they thrive in management. Some people, they don't really like management. They come back to being an individual contributor. And I think that whichever one that you choose, that is perfectly fine. For me personally, I used to manage people. It is not a passion of me to manage people, because I like to figure things out, and I don't like to have to worry about approving out of office requests and stuff like that, doing one-on-ones with people and I hated doing people's performance reviews. It was such a nightmare. Anyways, I digress. So I personally like to be an individual contributor. Would I do management again? Maybe not. I don't know. But I like being an individual contributor. I like to figure things out. I like to build new systems. And something that you said, I might be wrong about this, but I don't know if an architect is management. They could be. A software architect could be management, but I think the architect, although they might not write as much code as they used to, but they're the ones who are dictating and putting their fingerprint on how the software is going to be built, what tools are going to be used, what infrastructure is going to be used, and stuff like that. And sometimes, and probably even like the code structure, what stack and stuff like that. But I think architects still play a big role inside of the development aspect of it. Now, director, that's a different story, because directors, they're directing and they're over like managers and stuff like that. So there is that aspect of it. But it's really I don't think it's that the company dropped too much staff and then someone has to take over some critical role. Because here's what happens. There's always more engineers, software developers than there are managers. So you might have one manager to like 5-6 developers. So why would you drop the manager, and now you have a bunch of developers who have no leadership, no direction? I think what happens though is that as companies' needs grow, and let's say they need to spin up another team, they're gonna look within first to see, okay, is there anybody that can actually take on this this role as a manager for this new team that's being spun up. And if there is no one, then they'll look to get somebody externally. But so they try to do it that way, or they might put somebody temporarily as they see how this team is going to work out before they put an interim manager who used to be a developer before they put a different manager in there. But I also do think it's important that. I do think that it's important that the manager, whoever's in management, also knows how to do the work, because I just think it's important to have that technical aspect. You don't have to be a person coding every single day, but you need to have a good understanding of the system and the infrastructure and stuff like that and how things work in order to be an effective manager, in my humble opinion. All right, let's wrap that question up. And let's get to the last question of the night, and then we'll check the chat and we'll wrap it up and we'll go up on our merry way. All right. So this question, let me get this off the screen. This question says,
Another one.
mass applied to jobs after rejection. I mass applied to 75 jobs over the weekend after a soul crushing rejection.
Bruh.
I started Saturday morning at 7 a.m. and didn't stop until Sunday night, approximately 32 hours with minimal breaks. So, are you telling me that you mass applied for almost 32 hours straight and you only applied for 75 jobs? That seems very, very underwhelming to me, I must say. I'm sorry. It says, last week I made it to the final round for my dream position. I'm telling you guys need to stop having these dream positions and have these goal set positions. What goal have you set to get to this role? Instead of dreaming about it while you're sleeping and you're all turning over in your covers and the AC is set to like 68 degrees and you're all comfy and stuff like that. Nope, we cannot do that, all right? Just 3 interviews, a skill assessment, and even had coffee with the team lead. They said I was perfect for the culture and technically impressive. Then, I got the generic rejection email that they went with another candidate who better matched their needs. No feedback, no explanation, despite my polite follow-up asking for constructive criticism. So I snapped. I applied to literally every relevant position I could find, customized cover letters for about 30 of them, and used every job board imaginable. Already have 2 phone screenings scheduled. Okay. Sometimes quantity over quality works when you are desperate enough. All right, so let's put our timer. I will say this, right? I don't think it is healthy to just snap, right? To snap and go on a mass applying spree of 75 jobs. I guess it's better than the alternative, of course, right? But I'm going to say this. I don't know what happens. When I do an interview, whether I say yes or no for a person to go to the next round, I have no idea what happens after that, all right? But I will say this. I personally don't believe that a company who owes you anything. Is it nice if they don't ghost you? Yes, it's nice. Is it nice if they give you some feedback on what you did wrong? Yes, it's nice. Is it nice if they give you an explanation of why they chose not to go with you? Yes, it's nice. However, I am of the belief that they're not required to do it. But I thought about this before, but it just hit me again. I actually don't think it is a good idea. I'm going to take it back. I don't think companies should give you feedback or explanation on your interview performance and stuff like that. Why is that? So the reason I don't think that companies should give you any type of feedback, I say keep it generic. Oh, sorry, we had a better match with another candidate. Thank you for applying, yada, yada, yada. We'll keep you in our records in case something else happens. Because sometimes, I released a video the other day, a short the other day, where someone was rejected for a position. They actually came in second place because they got the same email saying we went with another candidate. But a week later, that candidate said that they cannot take the position anymore. And then the company called them and said, hey, we still have this position available for you if you want. And they were like, yes. And now they've been with that company crushing it, all right? Getting promoted and everything like that. But the reason I don't think that companies should give you feedback or explanation or anything like that is because you guys are feisty. So now if I see, and I'll tell you this, right? Sometimes I have to tell people about themselves and they get all mad and stuff like that. Like how they be like,
how dare you?
How dare you say what you just say to me? And I'm like, look, I'm like,
I was gonna lie to you, but I had to tell the truth. I'm just being honest.
I'm just being honest. Like, and some people don't like that. So if you're gonna be feisty with me when I'm telling you, when I'm giving you constructive criticism, imagine if a company was to give you feedback like, oh, we didn't like this, that, and the other, and you're like, oh no, I don't think so, and you start arguing with them. And I'm sure that has happened to companies in the past where they gave constructive criticism and then you got all brand new on them. Not you in particular, but I'm just in general. The candidate got all brand new and started arguing with them and says, oh no. And now you're threatening to sue because they went with somebody else with it. So now the company's like, you know what? I'm not even getting any feedback. We did not want to go with you. Sorry, not sorry. We went with a better choice, unless that better choice turns us down, and then we might extend an offer to you. So like that's my position on that, right? I had to think about it in real time. Like, no, giving that feedback to a candidate that you just turned down is not a good idea, because especially if they're desperate, they will try to argue you down to say that like you're making the wrong decision, yada yada yada. Right now, as far as what happened to you in this case about the perfect for the culture, technically impressive, stuff like that. Look, you might have been perfect for the culture and technically impressive until the person who came after you was even more attractive than you were, culturally and technically. Right. And now they're like, well, we really like this person. However, this person adds value here, here, here. They can plug in over there. That's how these decisions are made. Oh, they're going to fit in great over here. Oh, they have this. They've done this. So you don't know how everybody else performed. They might really, really like you, but they might really, really like somebody else as well. So you just don't know. So just because they said something to you doesn't mean they didn't say that to all the other candidates as well. And the one that they really liked is the one that they went with, So because you might have been perfect for the culture, but just not perfect enough. Just not perfect enough, right? So that's my take on it. Things happen. So there's times that I got to the very end of an interview and they went with somebody else. I'm like, all right, cool. I keep my eyes forward. I keep moving forward, not looking to the left, not looking to the right, not looking backwards. We just keep moving forward. All right. But yeah, that's my thought. But on the other side, your mass application spree paid off because you have 2 interviews. But I will say this: I hope they work out. But if they don't go crazy. Don't go on a mass applying spree. Although it did land you 2 phone screenings. All right. Anyways, let's wrap that question up. And let me see anything else we have in the chat. We have from Oh my goodness, we have plenty of time. We have Rod Brown calling in. Let me answer Rod Brown real quick, and I'm gonna read the chat. What's up, Rod Brown? Give me a second to bring you up. Let me just read this. Let me read the chat real quick, and then I will bring up my guy, Rod Brown. So, Magnus says, you want to fire the whole office and then say we'll be more efficient. Well, maybe not more efficient if you fire the whole office. I agree with you on that one, Magnetar. But we do need to be more efficient. We should always be looking for for ways to be more efficient. Maybe not by firing the whole office, all right? So let me go and pull that. All right, so let me see. Where is Rod Brown? What's up, Rod Brown? Let me bring you up on screen. Where is my... I rearranged some stuff the other day. Hold on. There we go. Boom. And let me get Rod Brown over here. There we go. We got the nourishing word himself in the building. What's up, Rod Brown?
Good evening. Good evening. How you doing, man?
I am doing phenomenal. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad. So, first off, great show so far. Appreciate all the topics that you brought up. But one thing that I was taking a look at that I wanted to get your opinion on was it seems like the trend of job hopping is no longer a thing. What are your thoughts about that?
I think that job hopping is probably no longer a thing because people can't get jobs. So that's probably what's going on there. Let me see. Give me a second. Let me see something real quick. If I hide that. Oh, I see your name. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, back in the days when it was so much easier to, because the reason people would job hop is because companies were not paying, it was easier
proper money and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would say proper. I don't like using the word proper and stuff like that, but it's like you would be at a company and in order to quote unquote get a raise, you'd have to go to another company because they're gonna like try to give you that 5% raise or not even usually like 3 to 5%, 5 if you're phenomenal, right? But you can go to another company.
They call it market adjustment now. But
exactly. Yeah. But you go to another company, you might get like a $10,000 increase, $20,000 increase, sometimes $30,000 increase. It just depends, right? But it's harder. I honestly, I think one of the reasons it's harder is because of the influx of people into the industry. You know what I mean? So when you have more people who are competing for the same jobs, it's not going to be as easy to job hop unless you are really, really up there. But if you're really, really up there, you're probably getting paid a lot of money anyways, and they'll probably try to do what it takes to keep you if you're up there. So I think another thing is a lot of people, they're becoming kind of complacent in the work that they do. They just like, I don't feel like work-life balance and stuff like that.
Sure. So with your thoughts on, so your opinion is pretty much saying that job hopping is pretty much dead. So does that lead to the idea that job loyalty is on the rise?
I would not say job loyalty. I don't know if it's like, I would say probably job complacency. Is that a loyalty?
Well, it's kind of like the thing that like our parents or the generations before us now was pretty much like you find that one job, whether it was a government job or whatever job that you have, and you make sure that you hold on to it for years and years and years. I have buddies of mine who have worked at the same job. They've elevated within that same job, but it's them being a civilian working for the government. They've been at that job since they graduated in 2008, 2009. And, this is 2025 and, they're making pretty much good money in there. So I've seen, me personally, my opinion is I don't think job hopping is dead. I just think that, yes, there's a limited amount of jobs, but I do think that the opportunity is still there for people to move from job to job depending on the particular field that you're working in. But um, when I was seeing this trend, it made it seem as if that people should now start being loyal to their jobs. People should now start having job loyalty and seeing if you can move up in the company and this, that, and third. I just think that the field is a little bit narrower. So, like for instance, you had a big circle, but now that circle is now a little bit narrower now to the point that everybody can't really job hop to go where they need to go. So, I think it's still available. It's just depends on your field.
I agree with you. I think it's available. It just takes somebody to apply. That's why I say I think it's more on the side of job complacency instead of loyalty. Because I would say, like you were saying, back in the days, people were there wasn't remote work and stuff like the way that there is now. There wasn't so you might have like a factory that you have people working in a factory, people working at a plant and stuff like that. So that's you laughing at Mitch.
Yes, I am. He just comes and ruins the whole conversation. I'm trying to be serious, but anywho.
But yeah, so like I gotta say, like you were loyal to the company because that was like where people met their wives there, people had their
Sure.
friends there, they would grab a beer together, all that kind of stuff, right? Like
Right.
they were close, because and it was a community thing. But then once stuff started happening, and then the layoffs would start to happen, like now you're like, oh, I've been working for this place for X amount of time, and I don't have any other skills that I can take somewhere else unless, because let's say you're working for like an auto plant back in the days or something, right? And now they're shutting down that plant. Well, you would think, let's say you're in like wherever, I guess maybe Detroit area or something like that, where they have like different plants. They have Ford, GM, Chrysler at the time, but if they're going to be shutting down a Ford plant, they're probably going to be shutting down a Chrysler and a GM plant too. You know what I mean?
And definitely the
Because they're not just
Stellantis
shipping.
plant, yeah.
They're not just shipping one job to another country. They're shipping all of those companies, right?
Right.
So now you're like, okay, I don't really have another skill, and I've dedicated my life to working for this company, and now what? So now like you're starting to see that the loyalty thing is starting to dissipate. You know what I mean?
Well, I wouldn't say, well, let's just, stick to the auto worker. That just means you have to move. If that's the
Mexico?
case. So, no. I wouldn't say to Mexico, but there are other, let's just say that there are other
I'll cut that
cities.
part out.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying that, like, so for my particular city, we have BMW, and then nearby in I would say 2 or 3 hours away, we also have a Volvo plant. So, like, therefore, there's just other opportunities that you'd have to look at in different areas, like a manufacturing um, or a parts maker type of plant. Auto parts maker type of plant. They might not make the whole car, but at the same time, they make particular parts and get it shipped off. So you do have that opportunity to particularly go elsewhere. But you might have. So if you were an auto worker within Detroit, you might have to move to elsewhere per se. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like it just depends on the area that you're working in.
But you're right. But the whole thing, when it comes to that loyalty, you still feel a way that, I spent like 15 years working for this one company, and then they let me go, and now I have to like maybe move to a different state or something like that, or I don't know, or
Or you find different skills.
or you find different skills. But the whole loyalty part, you feel betrayed, right?
Yeah.
That's the feeling that comes with it. So, I mean, to put it on a different, like out of work, right? You see how when LeBron left Cleveland, how they burned the city down.
That's correct. They felt betrayed.
It's like, oh, LeBron wasn't loyal to them, right?
Right. But I will say that LeBron was loyal. He brought something that the Cavaliers could never get, a championship.
but
did his
that was
job.
after though. So I'm talking about like the first time when
Okay,
they
the first
went
time,
like they went crazy. The first time, like remember the second time they didn't burn the city down. They were like, all right, we got our championship, you can go now. But the second, like the first time they ripped down his jersey, they burned him down and everything like that,
Yeah, I remember that.
because they felt that he wasn't loyal, right? But he
I
made a
remember
business
that.
decision.
And
And
taking
then
my talents to South Beach, man. That's what you got to
and
do.
based off that business decision, he went back and he was able to help deliver them, because he might have never won one if he didn't do what he had to do, right?
Sure.
So in hindsight, so it's like the whole loyalty thing. It's business is business, and I think that was the part that a lot of people, they get into their emotions about that. Business is business, right? Like it's not meant to be your friend.
Correct.
You can make friends, because I made a lot of friends from different companies that I work for, but the business aspect of it itself, it's they can't be loyal, because if a company, like, let's say your company is suffering, right? And they need to cut a certain amount of people in order to stay afloat. Should they be loyal to you and now the whole company shuts down and everybody's unemployed? Or do they say, all right, we're going to have to cut some people in order to try to make it a little bit longer, you know?
That's true. I mean, companies are going to make the decisions that they need to make for them particular sales. Like, for instance, I used to work for a private engineering company, and they specialize in reliability engineering. And with me being a developer there, working on different, softwares and working on different public sites for them, everything was going great, for the years that I was working there. But then you have to have my point is you have to have awareness as a worker, because when you start to see the trends and the winds shift in a particular direction that just kind of makes you feel uneasy, you have to have the proper discernment and the proper awareness to be like, something ain't right. Like, when I noticed that the company was being sold off to another company in Chicago, to particularly in order for them to be like, hey, we're now partners, in this company in Chicago. When I noticed that, I was just like, spidey senses are tingling, I don't like this. And so I got the heck up out of there, because I was thinking that they're probably going to go in a direction that I don't think that I should be a worker in. And that's what happened. They sold it off. The owners that I knew pretty much, got bought out and was just like, hey, peace out. We got our money. And then a lot of the people at the offices that was in that city, they all got shut down. They all got laid off. But I was already gone. So I think now when it comes down to, so the idea of job hopping, I think now is instead of it being job hopping with the less amount of jobs that we currently have, I think it's more along the lines of having the awareness as a worker to be able to say, is this company going in a direction that I could continue to utilize my skills and build up my skills and stay here for a particular long period of time? Or am I seeing a shift to the point that I need to make the proper adjustment and go elsewhere in order to increase my career path? But hopping from job to job just for you to get a pay increase, sometimes that doesn't necessarily work well. From what I've seen in a hiring process, it doesn't necessarily work well. It just lets me know that you're just a bunny rabbit. You're just hopping all over the place, and you're gonna leave in like 2 to 3 years. So,
I mean, yeah, I do think it depends on what the person is able to do, but I mean, the way I see it, if so let's put you in the scenario, right? So let's say you're making X amount of dollars per year at this one company, and you do a great job, and now you get it's time for that yearly increase, and you get, you know what, you were excellent, Rod Brown. We're gonna give you a 5% raise.
okay,
Right now, a recruiter reaches out to you on LinkedIn, and they say that I have this company who is looking to hire a developer. to do X, Y, and Z. They're in this industry, and you know that industry actually pays pretty good because the retention is hard. Like they want to retain people in that industry because it's a tough domain to retain people, right? A lot of domain knowledge, and you don't respond to their message. Then a week later, they send you another message like, "Oh, by the way, I sent you a message last week. By the way, the pay range is from this amount to that amount, and that the lowest amount is about $30,000 more than you're making now after you just got your 5% increase, right?" Mm-hmm. What do you do?
I do my research. Well, first off, I don't know what the company or the industry is or the company that they are recruiting for, but I'll be open to a conversation, and I'll have the initial conversation with the particular recruiter just to, see what's going on. But I'm having the initial conversation with the recruiter in order to get information out of them about who they are, where it's located, what they're allowing. Will they allow remote work, or do I have to be in office, just to see my options? And then from there, after that conversation, I'm going to do my due diligence and have that research time in order to see, is this an industry I want to be in? Is this a company that's stable enough in order for me to shift around? Because it's not just me anymore. I got to think about, my household and stuff like that. So I can't necessarily pivot in a certain way that I would do if I was, by myself. So I would take that initial conversation just to do research.
And that's that's the rabbit hole that people go down. And I mean, there's some people like they're actively looking to go from job to job, but
right.
It could be where like you just get reached out to and you're like, oh, let me see what they have to say, and they're like, oh wow, like this is a great opportunity, and now you're
trust me, I've had many of those phone calls. I've had many phone calls from people that were saying like, oh my gosh, your skills are, be so happy to be here. It's just this company in Connecticut or up there. I'm just like, and you can work 100% remote. You don't have to come up there. And I do my research. I'm just like, something ain't right, big dog. I'm gonna have to start declining your phone calls. That's pretty much it. And I mean, it's just, you have to treat it as options. That's just how I have to see it. You treat it as options, but I wouldn't necessarily jump on it just because the money looks right. Yeah. I'm just going to be 100% honest. Yes, the $30,000 plus increase minimum on that. Yeah, that made that. That eyebrow go up. That's what happened. I was just like, okay, So, but you still got to find out your information. You can't necessarily always be led by money. So
of course, you got to do your research to see like, is it going to fit? But knowing that, well, I just got this 5% raise after they said I was doing excellent. And now they want my skills in South Beach, like what do I do? Well, let me hear Pat Riley out, see what he got to say.
I'm gonna talk to Pat Riley, but if it's not looking right, I'm not taking my talents down there. That's just it is what it is. I'll just move accordingly with the 5% and just be like, hey, business is business. It could have been 0%. I'll take the 5% and be happy with that. I'm going about my business. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
No, listen to me. I'll take the 5%, go about it as business, but I'm also going to keep my eye open for something else just in case. You always want to look at your options.
But here's what's going to happen, right? When you get that, like you'll hear out this other company, you're like, oh, okay, well, this one isn't for me. But now you know that your market value is probably 30,000 more than it is where you're at right now. And so now you're going to start looking. You're going to start looking to see, okay, what is going to best suit me outside of where I'm at now? Because a lot of times that company, like those companies, they'll wait. Like the company you're working for, they'll wait to give you potentially a matching offer, or they'll let you walk. But they might see that, and if they're able to match it, that means they could have afforded it right now.
Okay, well. This also bears the question, who's to say that you should stop looking in the first place? As a worker, like as a normal worker, whether it's me, whether it's you, whether it's Magnetar who works in the government or anybody else, who's to say that yes, you do have a great job. We probably all have pretty decent jobs. But at the same time, who's to say that you should stop working or stop looking in order to make sure that you know, you can't pivot into another lane that'll give you another opportunity to elevate, you know, into a higher pay bracket or into a higher payout and into a higher role. Like I'm always looking. My eyes is always I'm always networking and marketing with people. That doesn't mean that, you know, I'm not looking.
I think that I agree. I just think that's when people start getting into another role. I mean, some people they'll do it like they'll get into another role and then like they apply for a job the next day. They're like, oh well, I'm leaving this company like after they just started. But I think I think most people like they get into another role and they try to settle in and figure it out until they feel like it's time to go somewhere else. I mean, some people they'll be forever at a company. Some people they'll have like a 3-year max. I'm with all of it. Whatever you want to do. My only thing is don't complain about wherever you're at. Don't complain about it. If you leave and it doesn't work out, then don't complain about it. If you stay and you're miserable, don't complain about it because there's something you can do about it all. So
Yeah. I used to have that mindset of a 3 to 4 year max type of thing. So like, oh, you know, I'm only here for a 3 to 4, 4 year max contract, you know what I'm saying? Don't look for me afterwards. And that's what I used to do. But in the words of Mitch, it just gets to a point, right? Where 3 to 4 years on a resume, boom, 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 boom. It just doesn't look right. And now that I'm on the other side, let's just say I'm on the dark side of things when it comes down to, oh, we got to interview for this person, we got to interview for that person. Like quite frankly, like here's a case in point. I helped interview for a new role that we literally had on our DX team, and this person came in roughly, let's just say, October 2024, and literally, what was it, January? That person was like, "Yeah, I'm out." And I literally said it when she literally told us that she was out. I sent a private message to everybody who was on the interview team. I was like, "I told you," because it was like 3 years, 4 years, 3 years, 4 years. I was like, something ain't right about that. And they were like, no, 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 no. Her skills are great. Her skills are great. I was like, nah, I don't think so. And she probably left because maybe the role just wasn't a fit when she got into that role. But you kind of see the writing on the wall whenever your resume kind of goes from like 3 years, 4 years, 3 years, 4 years. It's like I picked up on that, and I don't think anybody else was willing. They were willing to overlook that just because they needed somebody. And now you're back in the position where you got to rehire.
Hiring it's expensive, but
Yeah.
I don't know if after if they have 3 to 4 years in a position that would make me think that they're gonna leave after 3 months. You know what I mean?
Sure, hey, when she announced that, hey, I found another role. I won't be here anymore. And this, that, and third. I was just like, hey, better now than later.
But you know what? You know what that means, though. I think some people, we had a transition. Anyways, some people take roles as transition roles, like they just need something to get by for. But it's not the role that they really wanted.
Sure.
So they're like, oh, let me take this because, that's probably why. Because a lot of people are like, oh, why do they need to know how much I was making? Like at this company, at my last job and stuff like that. But just thinking about it now, this is why. Because if you're making like $150,000 in your last role, but now you got laid off, you don't have a job, and so you're like, oh, I need to do something. I'm gonna accept this role for like $90K, right? Sure. That's a $60K difference, but you're gonna accept it because 90K is better than zero coming in, right? Do the same thing with your 5%, 0%. Now they're like, but they're still applying for the job that they and the industry that they really want, and then they get that offer a few months later and like, oh, I'm out. And I can't fault somebody if they go back if they go for $60,000 pay increase, you know.
that could have been the case, but who knows? I personally wouldn't. I said no to that person, but I got overridden.
So how long on the resume would you feel comfortable with them being at a company?
I'd say a solid 5 years, like solid. 5 years. I think 5 years on a resume, like consistent 5 years allows you to be able to work on certain projects, be able to integrate within certain roles, and be able to carve out like a particular part within that particular company or whatever team that you're working on. To pretty much say like, yeah, I did this and I did that. So I would say a solid 5 years. That doesn't bother me.
I'm not, and I don't disagree with you, but I think that you can get a lot of projects done in 3 to 4 years, even less than that. But you build a lot of more domain knowledge though in 5 years.
That's true, and I'll give it up to that. But when you see somebody consistently like 3 years, 3 years, 3 years, 3 years, it's just like, all right, yeah, big dog ain't trying to be here. Like so, like you just kind of pick up on that. So.
Yeah.
And again, that's the route that they're taking. They're willing to hop, to the next thing and to the next thing, which is fine. Go ahead and get your money, but sometimes you might not hop into the thing that gives you more money. You hop into something that allows you to expand into different opportunities or whatever you want to be. But at the end of the day, overall, I do think that job hopping is still there. It's just with the landscape of jobs, it's not many jobs for you to hop to now. So you have to hop smart. You have to be a smart hopper, per se.
Yep. A grasshopper.
Yeah,
all right.
Smart grasshopper.
Let's read the super chat, or not the super chat. Let's read the chat and then let's get out of here. Let's see. Magnetar says federal sector wants to see 1 year worth of experience. However, on the back end, when determining who gets the interview, I've seen it where they want to see who has between 3 to 5 years experience. Yeah, I mean, like on paper they might say 1 year, but they're gonna look for. Because the thing is, right, with 1 year of experience, you don't really know much. So they can try to target 3 to 5 years of experience, and if they can't get it, then they'll settle for the 1. But why would you settle for 1 when you can get 5, right? So Magda says they're trying to weed people out in case they get 30 participants. Yep, and when we post a job, we get probably thousands of applications. I feel sorry for my recruiters. And we got Mitch in the building. What's up, Mitch? I haven't spoken to Mitch since before the tournament. He says, or no, actually, was he there after the tournament? I don't remember if he was there on the stream after the tournament. But he says it just gets to a point, and he has a special message for you, Rod Brown. He says, pause. So, okay. And Magna says companies aren't loyal to you, so hey. And I don't think that they have to be either. So, and I don't think that you have to be loyal to a company either.
No, he's not wrong. You don't have to be loyal to a company, so that's why it's important for you to be smart as a worker.
Gotta be strategic,
because you already
right?
know. Yeah, you gotta be strategic.
Agree, 100%. Says honestly, I've stopped looking as far as for a main job. I think it's like, even if you're not actively applying, I think it's important to always be aware of what's out there. What are they putting on the job description so that you can know what you need to look into, what to need to expand on, and stuff like that, depending on what you do, of course. And Mitch says, Rod Brown, put them goggles on so you can see better. Okay.
It's not the goggles. He's talking about my glasses. Listen, I got this bright light right here. Like,
it is a bright light.
Literally
I had one of those.
so close to me. Yeah. Like, so sometimes it hits you. Like,
I have a story about that light while you're here,
Yeah.
So I remember I returned it, right?
Yeah.
And out of all the things that I returned, that was the one thing that Amazon said they didn't get back. And then they were like, "Oh, we're gonna." They're like, we're gonna bill you if we don't get it by this day. So I joined the Amazon chat, the Amazon chat, and I spoke to them like, oh, like you guys said you didn't get it, but I sent it back with everything else. They're like, oh yeah, it was something didn't get updated. You're not gonna be charged for it. So I get charged for it, right? I was like, what is going on? So I wrote it to them again. It's like, oh, we're gonna reverse it. You should see it in 3 to 5 days. They didn't reverse it. So I finally spoke to somebody again. It's like, oh, okay. And they did it right there while I was chatting with them, and they reversed it. I was like, this is crazy.
Hey,
It's not Rod Brown's fault.
It's either somebody took that light or they were pretty much just saying, hey, you're going to get this light. You need this light.
Tell you. That thing was crazy. And let's see. Mangser says, but as far as something, let me move this up a little bit. But as far as something else, I've only stopped since I'm looking to get my math credits up and down something with Python or ethical hacking. It's awesome.
And see, I think that's smart too. Like, you're using your particular company in order to, elevate yourself. But then once you're probably done with that, let's just be honest, you're probably going to be able, all right, can I take my skills to South Beach, you know what I'm saying, and get more money?
Yeah, I think there's that. And I also think there's, like, once you get those skills, maybe your company can leverage it, and maybe they'll, they'll pay you better. I don't know, promote you or something like that. I think it's just like you have to weigh your options, but you need to have the options in order to weigh them. You know what I mean? So that's why you got to continue to build that resume, build that skill set, be comfortable with all that type of stuff. So because you never know. You always use it, but you can always be prepared though.
Right.
Cool. Let's see. I think that's all the chat that we have. Any final thoughts, Rod Brown?
No final thoughts for me. Appreciate you allowing me on the show.
What are you gonna do when you get to 1,000 subscribers?
I have no idea.
We having a party?
I might have my first live stream. Let's just say that.
I got my super chat money, so
Right.
I might just send them all in ones. I don't know.
Who knows? I might have my first live stream once I reach that 1,000 subscribers, but I'm getting close. And I appreciate everybody for the continued support thus far. I'm getting the hang of things, and I'm seeing what people are enjoying, what people like to hear, what people want to hear as far as faith-based particular conversations and particular topics. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep on rolling. Let's keep on rolling.
Ooh, you want to know I just thought about this.
Mm-hmm.
The YouTube version of the ushers closing the door is when the lead attorney goes to members only mode because he doesn't have his likes up.
Yo, Lead is a funny guy, man. I promise you, man. He does some funny things. Oh, man.
He's like, I'm gonna shut y'all out. He goes to members only mode.
Right. Gotta get them likes up, man. Keep playing with
Oh
Lead.
my God. Anyways, let's get out of here. All right, cool. Right, Brown, I will talk to you later. We got to fix that thing too as well. All right,
We'll do.
You know what I'm talking about. All right.
Yep.
Check you later.
Appreciate it.
All righty then. That was our dear Rod Brown with the nourishing word. Great conversation. Every time Rod Brown calls in, it is an amazing, amazing conversation. But that's it for tonight. Quick announcements. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be going live for our large language model. It's going to be around 7:15 because I got a meeting at 8:30 for work. What else do we got? We're going to be premiering Kubernetes YAML files presentation tomorrow for software explorations, concept, and overviews. And Sunday, I'm going to be doing another jiu-jitsu show where we're most likely going to be reviewing Henry's competitions. It's going to be on the Half Guard Halfie channel. I dropped a link for those who are not subscribed to that channel. It is time for you to subscribe because we're going to have some amazing, amazing jiu-jitsu conversations over there. Me, Justin, and the crew, whoever joins there. But that is it. That's it. We have Roxy making a final experience, says yee y'all. Or maybe she meant bye y'all. But you guys have a like I said, she meant bye y'all. Bye Roxy and everybody else. You guys have an amazing, amazing night. Tech Coach Ralph, we are out.
We stand afraid of shadows cast by doubt, whispered fears of what they'll talk about. Got dreams that wait in line behind our pride, but courage lives where fear is set aside. So many dreams collected dust on shelves, scared to fail, so we hide our true selves. But life will pass and so will all those stares. Nobody's watching as much as we think they care. So step into the light, don't fear the fall. The only limits here are built by walls. Tear them down and seize what you deserve. You're stronger than the whispers you've heard. Got plans to make, but fear keeps you in place. Afraid to lose, or maybe scared to chase. But what if magic waits around the bend? Go grab it now, don't let the doubters win. We wear these masks to hide what we believe, but truth has power when worn on your sleeve. Reach for the stars, they're closer than they seem. Your path is clear, don't let them steal your dream. So step into the light, don't fear the fall. The only limits here are built by walls. Tear them down and seize what you deserve. You're stronger than the whispers you've heard. Got plans to make, but fear keeps you in place. Afraid to lose, or maybe scared to chase. But what if magic waits around the bend? Go grab it now, don't let the doubters win. We wear these masks to hide what we believe, but truth has power when worn on your sleeve. Reach for the stars, they're closer than they seem. Your path is clear, don't let them steal your dream.